Welcome to Yummy Mayhem, where we cook from chaos to euphoria. Today we're going to be learning how to make a buttery, flaky pie crust that is sure to impress your friends and family. So let's get started. Alright guys, so what you're going to need for your pie crust is some egg. It's going to be 1 egg yolk mixed with 2 tablespoons of water. You're going to take 10 tablespoons of butter. Make sure it's a good quality butter. This is why I like to use a grass-fed butter. You're going to take a little bit of salt, just a dash, and then some flour. Now, I am not using whole wheat flour. I just dumped some all-purpose flour in there. So just make sure you have a good quality all-purpose flour and you're good. And of course, you're going to need a big mixing bowl. Now, some of you have KitchenAid mixers and things like that. I like to use my hands for this because you're going to be able to combine your ingredients in the best way. So let's get started. We have our flour, which is what we're going to dig into first. We're going to take about 2 cups of flour. The fun thing about Crust is, although you need to be sort of precise about things as you are in baking, not so much the same as you do when you're baking a pie or cookies or cake. You can kind of play around with flour, work with it and whatnot, so that is the best thing about it. I'm gonna grab another measuring cup because this one isn't gonna work for me. All right, you've got your 2 cups of flour. Now you're gonna dash some salt in. In this kitchen, as I've mentioned before, we do not measure. Okay? Anytime you are baking or cooking anything, honestly, adding salt is key. Okay? We're gonna add our egg and water mixture. As I said, this is from chaos to euphoria. All right, so the thing about your egg and water mixture, which is your liquid type of binder, is you're gonna have to add as you go. You may need more water, but the water mixed with the egg is going to allow you to work with your dough. All right, so I'm just gonna add a bit more water since I wasted mine. And then you're gonna get your cold butter. One thing I did not mention is that every ingredient that is wet, including your butter, your eggs, your water, make sure it is as cold as possible, okay? So you're gonna take your 10 tablespoons of butter and you're going to shave it in, all right? So get you a grater and just shave that butter in. Now you're probably wondering, why in the world is she shaving butter like cheese? Well, or grating, I guess. The reason why I'm grating it is because it's going to give your dough a piece of butter in every single bite. Yes, we are going to put our dough in the ovens, obviously, because they're used for pies, but while it's baking, it's going to have butter running all through it. And not only that, it's not going to be clumpy. You'll see some people use their fingers and just massage the butter throughout the flour, and that's fine too. But if you want to truly impress your guests, your friends and family, use a grater. So I'm gonna take more butter and just grate that in. Make sure, as I said, your butter is as cold as possible. You can put it in the fridge. If you are having trouble grating your butter, do this here. Just dip it, the side you're gonna grate, into your flour. Grate that side. Dip it, grate. That way it grates easier. When you're working with a good quality butter, a lot of times it can be a bit soft. So that can cause problems when you're grating, but nevertheless, it's the best. So we are just going to That's what it looks like. We're just going to use our fingers at this point and then massage. Now I've got some extra water. You might want to get some too. And I'm just going to add in the water as needed. I'm going to show you what your dough is supposed to look like, or should kind of look like at the end. That way you kind of know how much water you need to add. So if you want, you can pause this video, go ahead and massage your dough, see if it needs more, fast forward to what my dough looks like, and then come back to it. All right? That right there, while you are massaging it, is kind of what the dough should look like. The point of massaging the dough is to make sure the butter is incorporated completely into the dough. And it's going to give you, that butter is going to give you your dough texture. And guys, this is going to make an entire pie crust for maybe a sweet potato pie, any type of pie to where you need a base of a crust. It's going to give you one full base. If you need a top and a bottom, go ahead and do the steps that we just did all over again so that you can have two. Alright guys, so that is what your dough should look like. I'm going to press it in. That is the give it should have, okay? It should be just a bit of give like that. It should be firm to a certain extent, but still soft, okay? What you're going to find is we are about to actually wrap this up in some saran wrap and then put it in the fridge for at least 30 minutes. Now, if you're about to make your pie right now and finish the whole pie, make sure you keep your dough in the fridge for about 30 minutes. But if you're one that's just making the dough right now and you'll come back to it later or tomorrow, you can just keep your dough in the fridge and that's fine. This is kind of what it should look like. Notice I have it in this shape so that I can wrap it up this way. And when you take it out of the fridge, it's going to have a perfect texture so that when you roll it out, it'll be easy to work with and beautiful. All right, so we are going to wrap this up and throw it in the fridge. All right guys, so whenever you are using any type of dough, what you're gonna do before you roll it out is you're gonna grab some flour and dust it on your workspace. Some of you are fancy and have those dough mats and everything like that. We ain't got that over here. So we're just going to dust some flour on there, not too much. And then you're going to actually get your rolling pin and roll it over the flour so it can be dusted as well. All right, so we have our rolling pin. We're just going to roll it over the flour so that we have it dusted and ready to go. And then you're gonna dust a little bit more flour onto your work surface and we'll take our dough out and roll it out so it's ready for your pan. Guys, so once you take your dough out of the fridge, it should look something like this. Mine is a bit colder. I left mine in longer. I actually put mine in the freezer, so I'm waiting for mine to thaw. But when you touch it, it should have a bit more give than that. Like I said, mine was in the freezer. This pie crust can be used for all of your normal pies, like sweet potato, if you like pumpkin pie, or meat pies. Every culture has a different meat pie, and you can use this as your base for that meat pie. So if you have Nigerian meat pies, you just add your spices to this mix. We are going to roll this out. I still have my flour on my rolling pin, and we're gonna roll it out until it's the size of the bottom of your pan. So your pie crust should look something like that. I like to go ahead and roll mine out quite big, much bigger than the pan, because I can, you know, kind of maneuver it once I put it in the pan, and you'll see what I mean by that. But it should look something like this. Don't worry if the edges are kind of breaking. Just take your rolling pin and roll over it, just like that. All right? It works similar to the way eggs do when you're making an omelet. So what you're gonna do is grab your pan. This is my pie pan. It's about a 9-inch. I'm going to take my pie crust and just place it in the pan just like this. This will be good for sweet potato pies or anything like that. Like I said, if you're making an apple pie or anything of that sort, you're going to need another one. So make sure you double what we did. What you would do, there are lots of ways that you could do this last step, but all you do is just press, use your fingers to press the pie crust in. Be careful. Mine is about a 1/2 inch thick, maybe even 1/3 of an inch. But I'm still gonna be careful and just use my fingertips and press those into the pan. And then there's different ways you can do this. If you have a little bit of extra dough on the side, you can, and if you have an extra, maybe like a decorative side on your pan, you can use that to your advantage and press the dough into those little grooves. Now, if you don't want to do that, so like that, if you don't want to do that, you can simply roll your pie crust up a little bit, make sure it's connected, and pinch it that way. And it'll give you a bit of an effect. But obviously in a pan like this, the point of the pan is to use the grooves so that you can get the exact same effect, just in a different way. All right. Of course, at this step, you would pour your pie filling in, bake it whatever way that you're desiring. But this is the way that you won't have to go to the store and get a subpar pie crust. You can impress your friends and family with a nice, buttery, flaky, homemade pie crust. And that is all.